2, but we are back on a live. This live also will be getting uploaded to YouTube. Both lives that I did today, that I'm doing today, will be getting uploaded to my YouTube channel. So this is part 2. But yeah, but we're back. So, with where was we at? Okay, so excuse me. So with the Trinity, right? If you look at Neo off The Matrix, right? Spoilers, by the way, if you haven't seen the movie The Matrix. Now, with The Matrix, I feel like they've dropped 4 movies so far. Knowing The Matrix, the people like made the movie, right? They've made 4. They're definitely not going to stop at 4. They're going to make more than, they're going to make more than 4 movies. I'm going to say they're either going to stop at 6 movies. Maybe they're going to stop at 6 movies, or maybe they're going to stop at 9 movies. Or maybe they might stop at 8 movies. I'm gonna just say that for right now, maybe so. But if you look at Neo, right? Neo is the main character in the movies, right? Even though they're documentaries, documentary/movies. Now with Neo, right? Neo, his name is a very deep divine meaning. It has a deep divine energy to it. And the woman that he is in love with, her name is what? Trinity, right? Her name is Trinity, right? Trinity, she represents the Trinity. Neo, he also represents the Trinity, right? And when they come together, they are one. And when they come together, they represent the Trinity, right? Now, the thing is, right, with Neo, right, when you are connected to someone, truly, you are always going to be connected to them. It's no breaking it apart. It's no snapping it. No, you guys are always connected. It's no snapping off. You guys are always connected, right? So with Trinity and Neo, Trinity and Neo, they have been connected for a very long time. So in the second movie, I mean, not the second, the fourth movie, right? In the fourth movie, Neo and Trinity have been separated. They have been, in other words, they have been reincarnated and they have been separated. Trinity has a whole family now. Neo, he's a gaming designer now, right? And the game that he's designing is the game that, is the game that he actually played in his past life, right? And neither one of them, they haven't tapped into themselves enough to fully remember who they are and their purpose in their past life. Not quite yet. But later on in the movie, you see how fate and how the universe brings their energy to each other, right? For an example, right? Have you ever been at a grocery store, right? And you meet an old friend. Y'all was on certain energy frequencies. Y'all was either on the same energy or a very similar energy, because there's no such thing as a coincidence, right? Y'all had to be somewhat connected for y'all to even meet up at a grocery store, and neither one of y'all knew that y'all was going to be there. You see what I'm saying? Another thing is too, right? Hi, bro. What's up? What's up, AB? Now look, right? What's up? And now look, right? With Neo and Trinity, right? Even though they haven't, at that moment, they didn't fully remember who they were. They didn't fully remember their purpose, right? They still, the faith in the universe and their energy still connected them, and they met at that coffee shop or whatever, right? And when they met, they had like an energy thing going on. It was kind of like having that vibe of like, do I know you? Right? And the thing is, one of the key words is I, right? I represents what? I represents the soul, right? So when you are out in public and if you run into somebody and you're like, do I know you? Right? This is a possibility maybe that you might know each other from a different life path, from a different life, right? And the thing is with Trinity and Neo, they actually knew each other from a different life, right? So that's why they gave off that energy. Like, man, do I know her? Do I know him? And it's because they do know each other, but they've been reprogrammed when they was reincarnated back into the Matrix. They got reprogrammed, right? Trinity has his false family, and then Neo, he's some game designer, you know. But in reality, that's not their true essence. It's not their true purpose. In other words, right? But you see how even though they had their journeys went separate, they eventually came back together, right? Because when you're truly connected to something, you are always going to be connected to something. If you are truly connected to a woman, you are always going to be connected to that woman. If you are truly connected to a man, you are always going to be truly connected to that man. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that y'all are always going to be around each other. For an example, Trinity and Neo, they are infinitely connected to one another, but they wasn't always around each other. You see that in Matrix 4. Trinity had a whole family and husband or whatever, right? And you see Neo, he's a gaming designer or whatever, right? And this is a representation of the Trinity, right? When two energies, when you've seen in the fourth movie, when they combined once again, because the Trinity and Neo, they had been combining the whole movie. All four movies, they had been combining energies. And when they come together, they connect and they become one. And they become the Trinity, right? So this is another thing is too, right, is that when it comes to the Ankh, right? The Ankh is a very, 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 very deep diagram and a very, very deep format of life, of the spiral, of balance, of karma, of the universe, of life, and the Ankh, like I said, it represents the positive energy, well, that as well, but it also represents the feminine energy, masculine energy. The kid represents the private area of the woman, the private area of the man, etc. It also, of course, represents life, right? Now, when it comes to the cross symbol, right? A lot of people, a lot of Christians, even people who aren't Christians, a lot of people in general, it's very popular in today's society. A lot of people wear like this cross symbol, but the cross symbol originally comes from the Ankh. If you go look on Google and if you look at a picture of an Ankh, and then you go look at a picture of the cross symbol gets its symbol from the Ankh. This is why they kind of look similar. But when you are wearing an Ankh, like for example, I had an Ankh on my chain right now, right? The Ankh represents life. The Ankh represents manifestation. It represents good energy, in other words, etc. If you are wearing a cross, which is like this, that actually represents death. It represents negative energy, right? It can attract negative energy, etc. I don't recommend wearing a cross unless you are trying to be on some negative energy. Even if you are trying to be on negative energy, I still don't really recommend wearing a cross. If you're trying to be on negative energy and if the cross is negative energy as well, etc. Maybe so. And and we've been programmed to wear the cross, but what you could wear instead is an Ankh, which is positive energy, right? The Trinity is very, very important. Excuse me. And with the Trinity, right? There's multiple different types of Trinities, right? For an example, a woman and a man and them having a kid, that is three. That equals the Trinity, right? The Trinity is connected. It's not, no, they're connected. It's one, right? You know, everything that you see is actually a part of the Trinity, right? Even if you are Muslim, even if you are Jehovah Witness, even if you are a Christian or a Buddha or Hinduism, etc. No matter what your race, no matter what your color is, we are all a part of the one, which represents the Trinity, right? Everything is a Trinity, right? Plants are a part of the Trinity. Animals are a part of the Trinity. Even robots, etc. Everything is a part of the Trinity, because does the Trinity represent? What does the Ankh represent? The Ankh represents life, right? It represents life, represents life force, represents energy, etc. Right? If you ever seen the movies or seen like a clip or whatever of Star Wars, what does the guy say in Star Wars? Tap into the Force, The force is within you. He said something like that or whatever, right? The force is within you. What does that mean? In other words, the Trinity is within you, right? The force is within you, right? Force is another word for source. It's a reason why they rhyme, right? When something rhymes, that means it can be used as a spell. This is why a lot of people who know how to chant spells, etc., they're very good at rhyming, right? A lot of people who are in the music industry are very good at whipping up spells. Rather they're even conscious of them doing it or not, they're very good at doing that, right? Now, with the Trinity, right? The Trinity represents life. It represents a lot of different things as well. Another form of the Trinity would be feminine energy and masculine energy. That represents the Trinity as well. And the thing is with the Trinity is, right? The Trinity, right? The Trinity is like I said, bro, the Trinity is everything. Everything is the Trinity, right? Because the Trinity represents what? The Trinity represents life, right? Now, another thing too, right, with the Trinity, right? With your feminine, like I said, if I haven't said it, I'm gonna say it now. The feminine energy and the masculine energy, when they are combined together, they are a part of the Trinity. They're naturally part of the Trinity. Now, if you are a woman, if you are a man, if you are a goddess, if you are a god, if you are a vampire, whatever you are, you have masculine energy in you and you have feminine energy in you. Now, if you do not have a soul, you have a spirit. Not everybody has a soul, not everybody. Some people have no souls and no spirit. But even if, rather if you have a soul or rather if you have a spirit, you still have positive energy. You still have the feminine energy and the masculine energy within you, right? Me personally, I am a soul. I have a soul and I have a spirit. And I am a God, etc. I am that I am. I am Ali, right? Now, even if you don't have a soul, but if you still have a spirit, you still have the feminine energy in you, and you also have the masculine energy in you. Now, when you have the feminine energy and the masculine energy in you, rather if you're gay, transgender, rather if you're straight, bisexual, whatever the case may be is, no matter what you go by, no matter what your pronouns are, you have feminine energy in you and you have masculine energy in you, right? A lot of men don't want to tap into their feminine energy because they feel like it's gay or this and that, but in reality, all men, all gods come from the goddesses, right? The woman, right? Why do you think the name woman has a woman, womb, then man? Why isn't it man and woman? No, it's womb, then man. Womb comes first before the man because the woman comes first before the man. And before the woman and the man, there was us goddesses and gods. And it's somewhat similar. The goddesses came first before the gods, right? Goddesses have been here longer than gods. You see what I'm saying? Also, maybe so. Now, also with also I'm gonna say this as well. I might have been wrong on this part though. Gods come from us gods. We come from the goddesses. Now, if you are a human being, um, y'all might have came from the women, but I know for sure that the goddesses. I know for sure that the gods come from the goddesses. Now, when it comes to like I was saying with the feminine energy, maybe so. Like I was saying though, maybe so with the feminine energy and the masculine energy. No matter what you go by, you have feminine energy and you have masculine energy, right? A lot of men don't want to tap into their feminine energy because they feel like they're going to be looked at as gay or all of this. What you may not be understanding is that it's a part of you. You were meant to have it. Why not use it in good, positive ways instead of trying to hide it and trying to act like you don't know what's there? You know your feminine energy is there. Vice versa, a lot of women don't want to tap into their masculine energy. They want to act like it's not there. They don't want to seem like a tomboy, whatever the case may be. You are meant to have masculine energy as well. It's meant to be in your life, right? Now, if you are straight, you can still tap into your feminine energy. You can still tap into your masculine energy and still be straight, right? It all just depends on how you balance that out and how you work with that energy and how you work with yourself, etc., right? So with the Trinity, right? Now, another thing is too, right, with the Trinity, right? Now, with the Trinity, right? Another example of a Trinity would be life. I'm gonna just say this. Another example of the Trinity would be death. In other words, transcending or dying, right? Whatever name you like to call it. Transcending, being born, and reincarnation. These are three. These are three. These are three different types. This is its own. This is a part of the Trinity, right? So with the Trinity, right? Transcending, being born, and reincarnation. All three of those are part of the Trinity, right? Now, why are all three of these a part of the Trinity? The reason why all three of these are part of the Trinity is because they're a part of life. And the Trinity is a part of life. Like I said, everything is a Trinity because the Trinity is a part of life and everything is life, right? Rather if it's negative energy, rather if it's positive energy, everything is the Trinity, right? And the people in ancient Kemet, the goddesses and gods over there, they understand and overstand that, right? This is one of the main reasons why they would walk around with the Ankh. Some of them would get the Ankh tattooed on their avatar, on their body, because they understand it represents positive energy. They understand it represents life. And they also understand it represents balance. So if you're having that energy around you, if you're carrying balance around you, what do you think you're going to be? You're going to be balanced. You're going to be more balanced with your feminine energy. You're going to be more balanced with your masculine energy, right? Wearing an Ankh chain or wearing an Ankh necklace or having an Ankh tattooed on you, etc., it can help you be more balanced. It can help you balance out that feminine energy in you, and it can help you balance out that masculine energy in you. You see how the stuff that I'm talking about is adding up, how it's connecting? It's connecting into one because it is already one and it has been connected into one, right? See what I'm saying? So, I'm not sitting here telling you to go get tattoos, right? I don't really recommend getting tattoos in this energy, in this society, because you can get skin cancer, etc., you know? And a lot of tattoos are not natural in today's society, so I'm not going to recommend you to go get a tattoo. I'm not going to say that in this video. That is totally up to you. Um, you know, but with the Trinity, right? The Trinity is very powerful, right? You know, when you balance your feminine energy and your masculine energy very wellly, you are tapping into the Trinity a lot more strongly. You are going to become a lot more stronger. You are going to become a lot more aware. It is going to be a lot more simpler and a lot more smoother for you to talk to women. It's going to become a lot more smoother and a lot more simpler for you to talk to men. Why? Because you are tapping in and you have been healing and you've been putting in the work and the shadow work, etc., with your feminine side and your masculine side, right? One of the reasons why a lot of guys don't know how to talk to other guys is because you're not tapping in enough with your masculine energy. Another reason why a lot of guys don't know how to really talk to women a lot is because it's not that you don't know how to talk to them. You know how to talk to them. It's naturally installed in us to know how to talk to one another, to talk to one another, right? It's kind of similar to having sex. A lot of people think, oh, what do you do? How do I have sex? Da, da, da. It's naturally installed in you to know how to have sex. You naturally know how to have sex. You naturally know how to talk to people. It's naturally installed within us, right? You know, it's kind of similar to our phones. Our phones are a big reflection, can be a big reflection of ourselves. If you look at a phone, right, it has things that you can install in it, right? But when you get a phone, there's some things that are already installed in it already. That's kind of similar to how we are. We have things already installed in us. It's not that you don't know how to talk to women. It's not that you don't know how to talk to men. You just need to tap in with yourself more. And that may include tapping in with your masculine side more. That may include tapping in with your feminine side more. that may include you being more calmer, right, etc., right? Because if you want something to change, you have to be the one to do the change. I'm going to say that again. If you want something to change, you have to be the one to do the changing, right? I can sit here and say I want my hair to be different, but if I'm not doing anything to make it different, it might not change how the way I want it to change, right? If you want to improve your looks, how are your looks going to improve if you're not doing something within yourself to change, right? Change sometimes is necessary. Change is a part of life, right? You see what I'm saying? If change didn't exist, a lot of things wouldn't even exist in today's society, right? So, the Trinity is very important and it's very imperative, and this doesn't get talked about enough. The Trinity is a very, 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 very big representation of the feminine and the feminine divine energy and the masculine divine energy coming together and working together, right? We are strong already, but imagine how stronger we will be when we come together as one, when we come together as a Trinity, right? That goddess is already strong. That God is already strong. That woman is already strong. That man is already strong. But imagine how strong it would be if they came together and they became one, right? You see what I'm saying? So, if you ever seen like cartoon shows or like, animes or whatever, have you ever noticed how like when they would combine their powers together, they would become even more stronger? You know why? Because they're tapping it into the Trinity. They're tapping it into the one, right? And when you are tapping into the Trinity, Trinity also represents what? Trinity also represents balance, right? If you look at the infinity logo, it's an 8, but it's shaped differently, but it's still an 8. The infinity represents what? The infinity represents karma, right? Then this is like, have you ever seen a spiral, a circle, and it's a snake, but it's eating its own tail? This is a representation. This is a mirror. This is a reflection of karma, right? And I've already made a video on my YouTube channel talking about karma. You can scroll and find it or whatever as you please. I take that back. I'm not even going to use the word find, because when you're trying to find something, I feel like that's a low vibrational energy, because why are you trying to find something, right? Why are you you're looking for something, right? You could say, I'm tapping into something. I don't really recommend maybe using the word find, right? You know what I mean, right? Like a lot of people will say, oh, I'm finding my purpose. You may never remember what your purpose is if you always keep trying to find it. But the Trinity is very, 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 very powerful. And like I said, if you ever watch the anime or a cartoon, you may notice that the people, they're already strong, but when they come together, they become even more stronger, right? So imagine if we stopped isolating ourselves. I take that back. I'm not going to use the word isolating. My apologies. Imagine if we start coming together more, we would be even more stronger. Everybody is very strong. Everybody is very wise. Everybody is beautiful. Everybody is, etc. But imagine if a lot of us would come together more, right? And the thing is with isolation, right? Isolation, it can be a bad thing, but it can also be a very good thing. It depends on your perception. It depends on what you're doing in isolation. It depends on your energy, right? If you are in isolation and you are being yourself and you are elevating and you are raising your energies in good, positive ways, and this is something that you truly want to do, then there's nothing wrong with it. But if you're in isolation because this girl didn't text you back, or this girl didn't text you back, so instead of doing what you truly want to do, which is still hanging out with your bros, you're not because she didn't text you back, then you might not want to be in isolation right there, right then and now, right? So, it's imperative to understand and overstand the Trinity, right? You are the Trinity, literally, you know? If you look at your body, if you look at your avatar, you are the Trinity. You have 2 eyes, 2 ears, lip up top, lip at the bottom, right? If you connect these, they connect to the Trinity, right? We could just take my eyes, 2 eyes, 1 nose. If we connect this together, right, it creates what? It creates a triangle, right? It creates a triangle, right? That represents the Trinity, right? If you take bottom lip, top lip, and we close them, that represents the Trinity, right? If you take 2 of your ears and then you take your chin, that represents the what? That represents the Trinity, right? If you look at your avatar, if you look at your body and pay close attention, you will notice that You have a lot of circles on you. You have a lot of spirals on you. The universe works in circles. The universe works in spirals, etc. The universe works in shapes, etc. The universe talks in shapes, etc. Why do you think on the Ankh, which is a part of the Trinity, why do you think on the Ankh it has a circle on it? Excuse me. Like, for an example, you guys see how this has a circle on it? This is also a spiral, but it's a different type of spiral. Anything that has a circle on it is considered a spiral. It is just a different, it might be a different type of spiral, but if it has a circle on it, it's still a spiral. It's still somewhat a spiral, right? You know, you know, and if you really pay attention to your body and to your avatar, you have multiple circles on your body, right? You have multiple spirals on your body. If you look at your fingers and you pay close attention, you'll notice you have multiple spirals and multiple circles, etc. on your body. Another thing too, if you have a soul and if you are a multidimensional being, then you might have some hidden truths or some information about yourself on your palms, right? You might have some ancient information. You can literally go Google it, meditation, talk to the universe, etc., and tap in on what that is, etc., right? Because all of it has meaning to it. Your whole body has your body, your avatar is art. It is a reflection of you. So there's, for some people, if not everybody, there's symbols and things about your body that represent yourself, right? But a lot of times we don't pay attention to these things, right? You know what I'm saying? My name is Ali, and on my palm, it literally spells my name out. It literally spells my name out. If it doesn't, then it's very close to it. It's close to it, right? So, and if you really pay attention to your face, etc., and then you go look back in ancient history, you might be like, dang, this person, we kind of have similar facial features. That's because y'all might be from the same tribe. You see how so much stuff connects when you pay attention to the Trinity? In other words, when you pay attention to self, because you are the Trinity. You are the spiral. You are the infinite. Even if you don't have a soul, you're still infinite. Because we are a part of each other, right? We are all a part of each other. What's up, Maurice? We are all a part of each other, right? So the Trinity is life, right? If you see a tree, right, notice how there's like multiple different layers and multiple different parts of the tree. You have the root, then you have the top part of the tree, right, with the hairs hanging and all. That's kind of similar how my hair is right now, right? How my ether is right now, right? And then you kind of have like the middle part of the tree, right, where it's like connecting the part from the top part and from the root part. That is also a representation of the Trinity. You have the root, you have the middle part, which is helping keeping the bottom and the top connected. Then you have the top part of the tree, right? This is also a representation and an example and a mirror and a reflection of the Trinity, right? See what I'm saying? Right? Things that are connected equal Trinity. I'm going to say it again. Things that are connected equal Trinity, right? And everything is connected. So also, if your first name, if your last name, if your middle name has Trinity in it, I don't know everything about you, but what I do know is that you have a lot of gifts, right? You have a lot of gifts, right? And if you don't already know that, and I recommend you to continuously continue to keep tapping in with yourself in good positive ways. And even if your name doesn't have a Trinity, you still have gifts as well. But if you have the name Trinity, it can be spelled however, but if you have the name Trinity, you have very divine power. Very divine power. Rather if you're a man, rather if you're a woman, rather what you go by, you have very divine energy, you have very divine power. And that is very, very true. That is very true. Very, 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 very true. And these are things that a lot of times we don't get taught in school. A lot of times people around us don't teach us these things. And sometimes it's not because they don't want to teach us these things. Sometimes the people around us, they might not remember these things. Or, they might be trying to learn or relearn these things themselves, right? It's very imperative and it's very important to, pour into your own cup, because if you're not making sure that you have enough to drink, how are you going to help somebody else? I've talked about this before. If you're trying to have a kid, right? I'm not saying don't have a kid. What I'm saying is that if you're going to have a kid, are you ready to have a kid? A lot of people will just have a kid and be like, oh, well, I'm financially stable, so I can have a kid. Yes, it is imperative in this matrix that we live in now to have some type of consistent income, to have good income, right? To have good, consistent income. Yes, but it's not just about just the income. Are you mentally ready, right? Or if you're not even patient enough with yourself, how are you going to be patient enough with the kid? You see what I'm saying? Or if you're not even patient enough with yourself, how are you going to be patient enough with this woman? How are you going to be patient enough with this man, etc.? So it's just very imperative to be mindful of what you ask for, and be very mindful and be very realistic with yourself before just saying that you want something. It's imperative to be very realistic on yourself and with life, etc. But I do appreciate everybody joining the live. Appreciate everybody who came through. You feel me? Yeah, man, I will catch y'all on the next one if I decide to do another live. Also, I have a YouTube video dropping sometime today, and this live will be getting uploaded to my YouTube channel. I appreciate everybody watching. Peace to all.